everyone. So I've once again brought my friend Leigh onto the channel. He's very kindly offered to be a guinea pig whilst I go zoot around a whole bunch of different things that look at different workflows, and it's mainly related to writing and PDF annotation. So we jump around quite a bit, as is my general style, and look at how you can structure your workflows just to get the maximum from your PDFs and just from Logseq in general. There's some good principles here. We talk about the granularity of tags. We talk about making sure that you're getting things correct in your outlines. Talk about some of the quirks of search and filtering. We look at how you might want to structure your workflows. I look at some initial work that I've been doing on Joel Chan's research workflow and how I am trying to map that into Logseq, or bring those principles across into Logseq, looking at the work that he's done predominantly. And yeah, it's just a broad ranging conversation. So I hope that you find it useful. Some caveats over here: the audio is not great on Leigh's side. Unfortunately, I messed up the settings, but I think my audio is still pretty good. So I'm going to carry on publishing this rather than, just putting it in the waste bin, because it might be useful to someone. And the other thing is that there does appear to be some slight audio delay in the film. This is very, very rough, just a working session, and I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you find some value. Have you got a different database? Have you created a separate database for this one project, or are you going all in on one database?
No, I'm all in on one database. I moved my database the other day from random place to a more place it should be. And then the next step is I'm going to move the database onto the cloud, onto a Google Drive.
You ought to highly recommend that.
Yeah, I know. I've got it's on my to-do list. I know that I need to do it. I know I need to move a lot of things onto the cloud. But
it's more from a recovery perspective.
Regret.
Yeah, exactly.
I know. It's I was gonna do it, now it's too late. But no. I'll show you actually the book that I've got, a physical copy of the book, and I've got a PDF copy of the book that I'm working from for the latest project. I'll show it to you now. This is the physical copy. My friend Leigh actually bought this at the book lounge, I think, there in City Centre near Home Affairs. And so she gave this to me, and I was like, okay, cool. And I started to read it, and I was like, yo, wow. And then I saw it's available online as well. If I can share my screen with you.
Yeah, do I have to give you permission, or just?
No, I should be. Let's see. Share this one. Okay. So you see my Logseq?
Yeah. Do you like the green theme?
I do, because it's less, the contrast is less, brightness and stuff. And also, I feel for video recording, the white doesn't do well, the clear white background. It's I don't know. Anyways.
I've been running with it.
Sorry?
I've been running with the white background the whole time.
I mean, yeah, nobody's complained, right? It's working for you.
Maybe.
Yeah, I like dark theme. It also makes me feel a little bit cooler. I'm some sort of
But there's other dark themes which are nicer. There's one called the Bono Fix theme, which is really nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes me feel like one of those dudes in a protagonist in a 90s computer hacking film, a low budget sort of one.
How that relates.
So, I was like, okay, so I started reading this book, and I was like, okay, I actually think I might end up doing a video on this, because there's just so much amazing information in here. The authors went and they spent 10 years documenting 9 different townships throughout South Africa. And when I say documenting, they went to every micro enterprise in that township, mapped it out, spoke to people, collected data, and then backed it up also with so they had that quantitative side, and then also the qualitative side, where they did like a lot of interviews and stuff to try to really understand sort of township economies and driving through townships a bit more recently, and you just like when you drive through, you just like, my word, everybody has a business, like especially on the main roads, even on the side roads. It's like there's always somebody selling something, like there's somebody like cooking meat or like selling this, selling that, and you're like, this. There is a whole different world happening here. And so these guys, went and they kind of like documented the work, but the kind of work, the way that they document is more thorough than like 95% of research. Nobody spends 10 years looking at one single topic in that detail. So that was amazing. It's like, okay, cool, I might do something on this. And I thought I'll just use this page to kind of link to, I'll use this as like the main page. And then I thought, okay, I'll link to the book. And then here's the PDF, obviously. Now, one thing about Logseq that I was like, I'm still a little bit unsure of is sometimes like, because I'm also not the most organized, what will happen is like my PDF will move somewhere else, or I'll lose that PDF. You know what I mean?
Your PDF will move.
Does it happen to you? Like I will accidentally delete the PDF, like the actual file.
Are you going into your assets file and deleting it? Or you mean you're deleting the link to your file?
No, I mean like, so I didn't necessarily know that the PDF is stored in the assets file, which then makes it probably impossible for me to delete. I thought it's just reading it from the directory. So when I download this PDF, I don't download it to my Logseq folder. I download it to like another folder.
If you go to your assets file, you'll probably see you've got like a few copies of that there now. And it'll have different like suffixes. It'll have like PDF document and then suffix, that because it adds it to your assets file, and that's where it's reading it from. Like in other applications, like when you integrate with Zotero and something, like it does point to a directory, but no, it's that's the thing that I love about it, is that like I can just upload something there and I know that it'll be in my assets folder, because I'm also terrible. My desktop and my downloads folder are an absolute mess.
Yeah, so I think it's kind of like, well, kind of learning number one for me is that I need to be afraid of it. So then instead of, like, my preference would be, because when you highlight and then you let's get to it. I've actually done some highlighting after the introduction. When you highlight and you like pull it in to your Logseq, you have those two options, right? It's copy reference or copy text. Now, copy reference would be more useful for me, but if you do link the PDF, it doesn't know what to reference it to. So then I'm like, I'll just copy text, because then if I lose the PDF, it's not a problem. I can just Control F in my PDF and find where that reference was. You understand?
Yeah, I mean,
that's all based on a false premise.
Yeah, if you want to like be ultra conservative, then you would like do the copy reference and the copy text, like you do both. But like, you can. I trust the copy ref implicitly almost now, because that's worked like for me through. I don't know. I haven't had any issues with it. But if you go to your different, actually, just go Control K, and then HLS. This is going to be interesting. And then underscore. Okay, so it's not actually showing you your highlights page. That's strange. Okay, usually it should work like that. If you on your top left there, sorry, if you just exit there now, let me just look at I'm sure mine works. Control K, HLS. No, so it doesn't work. It doesn't work here in Logseq. It works if you are in your folder, your pages folder, because in your pages folder you'll have HLS, which is the highlights page for this PDF. So when so yeah, it'll actually also show up in all pages.
Yeah, so all pages, then HLS underscore.
Yeah. So you've only got the one copy there that I see. Alright, you haven't actually pushed search, have you?
I can't see the search link. Oh, there we go. Okay, here we go. Yeah, there you can see my log.
Yeah. So you've only got. So you got. I see there's one where you got two copies there, but they're just like developing social. But not.
Yeah, so there must have been something, and then where is the township economies one? I might also not be labeling these things properly. Next.
Well, the township economy one is there. I see it.
Yeah.
Third from top. So if you click on that page.
Yeah.
So this is something which I've
actually.
Yeah. This is
actually. So even though I copied this as a copy text, not copy reference, it still has it as reference.
Oh, did you do the copy text rather than the copy reference?
90%. Yeah, I'm like 90% sure. But I just did copy text because of like this fear that I had, right? That I was going to lose the PDF.
Okay. So this is something which I've started doing a little bit differently. Because when I initially posted the first PDF video, I don't think I understood it 100%. Like I was using the block references in another page or whatever. But I've now started working in this actual page, like in this HLS page, so that I'm not like creating block references to these references over here. Because these references over here are like the original source. So what you can now do is like you can work in here and make all your comments in here, like as opposed to like doing it somewhere else. Although I mean it's still cool that it's like taking your original text, but what you'd want to be able to do ideally is like to be able to click on the text and go back directly to the thing. So writing down observations on the text, you can do it here, and then what I do is I write it in my own words, or I write my observations above it, and then I indent the block that's referencing the text below that. So yeah.
Okay, that's interesting because I think that'll kind of bring me. So I'm going. Yeah. So this page is slightly different than from this is different. This HLS page is then different from this page.
So
this is just the HLS page is then just like a summary of what I have copied from the PDF.
At the moment, but what I'm saying is like I would actually do all of this stuff in there, because what you're doing, and someone points this out in the comments, like what you're doing is you're creating two separate pages. And like it's duplicating information, and the reason I started doing this is because that township economy button literally is what you need to be able to open the PDF in Logseq. But you can do that in the township economics HLS page as well. You can just add that button in there too, and then like add the link or alias to this page or something like that, so that you will be able to easily find it. And it becomes super nice to like organize everything in like one place, and then like be able to indent and highlight and like zoot around and find what you need to.
So this is where I think it's going to get fun for me to see what you think, because I hear what you're saying, but like, so when I thought about after my last project, what is my kind of ideal workflow thing, then there is some of that. You can see how much have I gotten through. Okay, I've gotten through a fair amount of summarizing. So this part is like very much like I think what you're describing, like have a comment, and this you could put in the HLS page, like have your own commentary on it, and then the reference, right, indented like that, and you can put in the other HLS page. But where I kind of start going a little bit different is I kind of see the PDF as like something that I then end up breaking up into different components and sending them to other pages. So one of the other pages will be like this one, key quotes. So when I'm writing my story later or script, I'll go and I've found that I've referenced this key quotes page quite a lot with previous stories. So I'll be like trying to find something that articulates a point that I'm trying to make in the script, and I go to key quotes and I try to look, where did I see something cool that one of the authors or one of the people that I interviewed said that I can then include in the script. And key quotes will be sourcing its information not just from the Township Economies book, but from other papers that I read, or from like quotes that I get from interviewing people or whatever.
Yo, okay. This is cool.
So then, yeah, so like then that's one of the things. And also I had like my last project I had, okay, now I started using this thing of ideas. I'm like, so when I'm writing a story, there's usually like a bunch of like core ideas, like let's say 5 ideas that I'm trying to get through or cover. So if I'm like, okay, I see this theme, it's almost like themes is another good word for it. It's like livelihood strategies. So a lot of people start businesses in townships as a livelihood strategy, is way of making money. So now I'll be like, okay, I think they're going to mention this a lot in the book. And maybe I just want to focus on the idea of livelihood strategies in the book. So I'm going to create a page just for livelihood strategies, and I can come back and kind of filter it by that.
So I just dropped my glasses.
I usually also have like I'll have like a key stats one as well.
Okay, so this is very interesting, because what you're doing, or what you can do is simplify your tags over there, because what you're doing now is like you have township economies and key stats all in one word, and if you just indented everything underneath one high level block, which is like township economies, and then outline, indent, key stats, key quotes, location, something like that.
Yeah.
Just like really break it apart. So and what that will then allow you is this granularity to be able to search and query it later. So you're not having to go township economy key stats. It's just like township economies and then filter key stats, or query township economies key stats or something like that. And then what that means is that then you can use that same syntax across different documents. So then it'll be like other PDF key stats, other PDF key quotes.
Yeah.
And then theoretically, you could link that to a higher level question, and then indent that all underneath. And it's like, it's all about getting that tree approach that says, okay, this is all indented, and I can come in and intersect whichever like level I want. So what you've got like here is a good like point of departure, but having also a projects page with like this high level aggregation points, and I can show you some of the stuff that I'm working on for the course, and for another video actually. Like it's going to be in the course like more formally, but like in the video it's going to be like this approach of like how you might want to do this sort of thing. But I think your example is like fantastic.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Okay. Yeah, I think it was also, so I think like last time we had this sort of video work through, it was kind of like my fear was I kind of don't want everything like on the same, like I have this fear of almost like I think last time my fear would be like I wanted to separate everything, you know, put everything into like silos. And I think like now I'm like a little bit less like silo concerned, but I think I don't understand, I haven't yet explored the power of the query function. So like my fear is, and I realize it's irrational, is like if I just have like I break it down into township economies, key quotes, and have that as like sort of separate things but indented, right? And I can query it like that. Then if I go to the key quotes thing, I'm going to have things sitting there from like township economies and from like other projects that I've worked on, like basic income grant. But I'm going to have like all key quotes from like bunch of various things. It's going to look like a fruit salad in there, but I'm not thinking about it in terms of it won't be a fruit salad because you're going to query it to filter it down to exactly what you want. So as long as you've tagged it appropriately, and as long as your kind of like filtering game is on point, then you get what you want.
Yeah, you don't even like queries amazing, but like the filtering game also really good. If you set it up in like a ah, there's one intricacy, which is that it doesn't look at things in reverse, but queries do. I've explained it in a bit more detail, but like should I show you how I think I might think about this sort of thing?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah. Please not you. It seems to. Anyways.
oh, okay, that's weird. Okay, it's got active speaker here. So now I'm just zooming in. So the example that I'm going to look at is it's like a research project thing, which is let's see. I'm just going to go to here and navigate back up. Okay, so this is a little bit of a funny one because I've got custom CSS on to like actually accentuate questions, but it's not super necessary. I mean, it's just it can actually be a little bit distracting, like when you're getting started to like have this. But I found that it's like really nice just like go and find the question. I've literally only started playing with it in the last week since I've finished other things up, but I've really enjoyed this. But yeah, what I've got is like a high level project page and then like questions that I'm trying to answer. So all these three things there are then these questions theoretically, and they could be anywhere in your database. I think like for me the difficulty is always finding like where should I be putting information and like how do I refer back to that information. So this high level project page will for you maybe be like, you know, township economy video. Oh, this is slow. Township economy video. Okay, and then you'd want to have like different parts of your video. I don't know, you know, what it might be.
But it'll be like reading list, interview list, and then probably like questions that need answering, something like that.
Questions that need answering. Whoops, yeah, questions. And here, like, what I would do is that I'd make these markdown headers just to give it a little bit more structure. So like 2 pound signs there or hashtags, and then 2 pound signs there, and then here. And these aren't linked. It's just like a structural breakdown on the page. And then here I would like indent, you know, all the PDFs that I need to read or whatever. So here PDF 1 or whatever. There's a PDF example that I'm referencing, and another HLS page here. Okay, so this is why I thought it would come up in the search, because if I go Control K, HLS doesn't come up. But when I'm searching, or when I'm just like entering backlinks, it does come up. And this is a little bit funny because that's black. It's because I'm using a custom, another like plugin, which is like a modify block references. Let me actually go make this blue just for not confusing too many people. There we go. That looks like a good color. Cool. That's a very cool little plugin. And you can do like the question things. That's actually where I've done some of the question things there, because my CSS skills aren't good and like things were breaking, and I was like, it's fine. So I just use this to like override some of the bad things that I've done. So anywhere where I've got Q colon, it's giving me like a red text. Anywhere where I've got C, it's giving me orange text. Anywhere where I've got E, it's giving me green text. And that's like question, claim, evidence. So yeah, but anyways, that's getting into the meat and bones. We don't really need to go there. So then interview list, again, you know, I'd like put people there, etc. Then the important thing here is questions. And that's where you like actually want to like think about like, that's where you want to add links. So I'd say like here, Q, Y, what are the reasons that people are starting township businesses? And the reasons people start. For some reason it's very, very slow. I wonder if it's like anyways, start township businesses. Start businesses in townships. Okay, just making this very, very trivial, but yeah. And there we go. So now when I go to my different reading lists, what I can then do, if I go to this page here, I'm going to open up in the right sidebar, so shift click that, and I can then indent. Let me actually open up a new PDF, just because it's going to get confusing. And here what I can do is I can like upload, hypothetically, I'm going to get my answers in this graph journal paper here.
Cool.
Okay, but now this is not an HLS page, which is a bit, getting access to the PDFs is a bit strange sometimes. But like, what I would actually do is I would open that, create a highlights page, or like go to the annotations page, and then I would then be able to link to this annotations page from my new page. So I'm just taking the highlighter there, just asking that thing over there, and then highlighting another thing over there, hypothetically. Great, so now I've got an annotations page, and I'm just going to close this. And this is a bad example because this is one of the papers that had like a terrible name. But anyways, or it's got like no name. It's just a sequence of numbers. But I can go HLS and I can search. Yeah. I can search that sequence of numbers. Okay, there it is. There, cool. Yeah, and then on that page, what I was saying, like to add the link to the PDF, I could just go to this page and literally take this over here, and then copy and paste it. It doesn't have to be, whoopsie. It can be in that top block. I could create a property which is like button. But then what I would do, or one of the ways that you could do this without even having to say like bringing this question across, is you could just say township economics, so township economics, or I don't want to say township economy video, like I'm thinking about like more topics here. This is like this township economy video is like a landing page almost, but I want to say township economics, and then here we go, and I can indent this and I can indent this underneath that. But now what I can do to like, let's say like key quotes. So I can say key quotes, key quotes, and then what was one of the other things that you were talking about?
Key statistics.
Key statistics.
Form a question from one of these.
Well. Yeah, that's the cool thing. It's like very dynamic, and then you might want to go here, and then like create a new question. I'm pointing at the screen, and you can't see it. It's like on the left side of the page as you're working. Let me close my left sidebar just so I get more space here, more screen real estate. So key statistics and key statistics. Okay. Now, this is not going to be working 100% yet because it's like not indented. So what I was saying about the tree approach, if I actually just bring this open onto the left sidebar, so I'm just going to click on that bullet over there and open it up here. If I look at the mark map plugin, actually I'm going to open the whole thing up so I can use mark map, because mark map is like a really cool plugin that I enjoy, just to show you like that information is not related. Like it's showing that this thing here is a separate bullet or separate block. It's not actually related to the key statistics. So that's like a nice way to think about the tree. So what I have to do is actually click there and then indent that underneath there, and then what's going on with my screen? Sorry, let me just turn that thing off. Come on. This is a Power Tools functionality, but it's not. There we go. Okay. Too many things going on at the same time. So then if I go to another source, let me actually just do this here randomly, and also such say township economics here, and then I will say, so slow, township economics, and then I'll say, key quotes here, key quotes, and then I'm just going to write this key quotes. Then, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm listening. I'm trying to keep up.
Sorry, where have I lost you?
No, I think I'm 90% on board. So.
Okay, I'm gonna carry on, and I'm gonna show like the idea of like all the mapping and like how to like get all the different things to interact and like be able to like bring them up where you need is like, it's all about like creating the nodes and the tree approach. But if I now go to my township economy video, and then I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I want to actually search for key quotes on township economy video and like bring this up. Then I might say, okay, Control K, and I would say like, what is the thing that I'm looking for? The theme. I'm looking for township economy or township economics, and I'm gonna shift enter this, open it up in the right sidebar. Wow, it's very, very slow, but I have seen this before when using like videos. Let's close these few things here, and then filter here for key quotes. And then it'll give me all these like key quotes, or all the blocks that have those key quotes. Or if I want to say only one thing, I want to see key statistics, it's only going to have one link reference, or it should only have one link reference.
Would it work in theory the other way around if you go, say, if you search key quotes and then you search township economics?
So that's the thing, which is like what I was saying about it only does it one way at the moment. And I was showing to someone in the community, and he says it's quite like a deep coding thing, so it's like it's not going to be fixed soon. But like if I just for some reason it wasn't working in the left sidebar there or the right sidebar, but if I go here and I say I want to only see key quotes or key statistics, I should only see one link reference. Okay, something's not working there 100%. But then if I go to key quotes as a page and then I filter here, I don't see those options. Then what I might do, specifically if you're getting like very large, and you know there should be something there, I'll then open a query page, so Control K and then query. And I like to have like a query page that I open separately here. So shift click that, and then I would say query and the two tags township economics. Oopsie, I didn't say and. You need to say and to narrow it down to be like it must be township economics and it must be key quotes. So and township economics and key statistics or whatever it might be. There we go. And there brings up my my quotes.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, that makes sense.
I want to just look at the nodes thing quickly. Let me just sort out something here.
Something that you noticed.
Oh my word.
Yeah, Logseq and you shall find.
Should I edit this out? No, I'm gonna leave this in. Okay. So research workflow. Okay. So this is going to come in like a video in the channel, so it's not like it's going to be, completely I'm sharing proprietary information. Actually, it comes from a guy, Joel Chan, and his framework is very, very cool. But the whole idea is like we start with, I can show. I'm just going to quickly go through the whole thing, which is like I start with a bunch of questions, and these then start the process of me going to sources and then like trying to find answers to those questions, and I make observations on the page that inform or generate more questions, like you say. So it could generate more questions, and then this supports the pose, or I don't know if I got everything 100% right here, but like then I create syntheses on those questions in the questions page. This is more of like a research workflow, so it could work for you. But it's like, where do I then put the information? So what I'm saying is like I have a point of departure where I store those initial questions, but you could put initial questions anywhere. Like you don't need to like have them on this page. I mean, it's just nice to have like these aggregating points that enable you to find things easier later. And then the structure of a question page is like you have all your sources that are like answering that question or might answer that question, and then you can synthesize in that question page. So you can actually like go and start writing observations on your different sources, and you can see it's nice and whip over here. And then on your source page, you'll have there's so many different ways to do it depending on like what you want to do. But here I'm not using I've used this tag literature survey or literature, so that I can see like all the things that I've like. I could hypothetically go to question and then filter for literature, or I could say, or I could filter by tag. I don't even need to like have that question to be able to find the information. So there's like 3 different ways that I'm finding information, all by building it on the same tree, where I'm saying, what is the question? It's in literature, and I've got this tag. So then if I go back to Logseq, the zoom has changed. Where did I go? Let's just go back. So what are the reasons that people start businesses in townships? I'm just going to shift click that and open it up on the right, and I'm always using the right sidebar, like and then here I would have like, okay, cool, these are the sources, and then the syntheses, and then what I can do here is open up this thing in the right sidebar. So I'm open this up in the main page, for the main panel. So clicking over that, and then I'm going to open up this highlights page in the right sidebar, and I'm now going to start synthesizing, and I can say there is observed evidence, and then I can reference that, and I can even like then go and copy this as a block reference. So I can copy this as a quote, as a block reference, or I could have, I don't know what I just did there, but it just went smaller again. Or I can, hypothetically have created some, synthesis here, even in the page, or like, started writing this thing, and then I want to actually bring it over. And I can just drag and drop it. I could, copy paste it. So there's so many different. Oopsie, I only wanted one block. It's all about like creating the nodes of information. Okay, it still hasn't come across. Come. There we go. So it's all about like having the different nodes of information, like moving blocks around, and using the page references or the page links or the tags, to be able to resurface those things later on. So talking about nodes, and did I notice this? I thought it was a great joke. Like one example that I like to use is like this to read list that I've got.
Yeah.
And so I've just gone to the to read page, and you can see that I've got information in the page itself. So if I go to the text file, I will have all these different, these blocks will be, or these like lines of text will be in the text file. But this is actually not a good example. Let me go to my personal database quickly and just show you like what I mean about like collecting things in nodes. And how that helps you retrieve things later down the line. So it's like I don't have to put information in the page. I just map it to a node, to be able to like retrieve it much easier.
Yeah.
Is this like have I made sense? Is it like
No, I think it do make sense. I think there's an extent to which I'm doing this. I think I am mapping things to nodes or mapping things to create individual pages for different things, and then I just think I haven't broken it down on one further step. So instead of having like a questions page, I've got a main page like township economies, and then I'll break the information into nodes, but those nodes will be too individual. They won't be like
like granular enough that you can like actually filter it across different things.
Oops. Yeah, so it won't be like there won't be like one questions page for my whole database, and then so it seems like what you're saying is like have a questions page almost for your whole database, and then have a separate thing. So you would filter out if you want to get to the specific questions about township economies. That's fine because you have like these queries or searches. You'll have like township economies questions on.
Yeah, that's
the synthesis thing. The synthesis thing I think I'm doing as well. I just call it kind of like in my questions page. I'll often write the answers. I then just don't tag it. So this is like it seems to be like I think I'm further along the right path. I just need to put in some extra practices.
Just a little bit of structure. So
yeah,
this is my like to read page, and like it's got you can see I just drop it in like randomly like in my daily journal. I could just say hashtag to read or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's been an unnecessary divergence then.
What I would do differently, this is where I think my mistake comes in, is I also started to drop in these kinds of tags randomly, but instead of it being just a to read page, it would be to read township economies, and in one like to read modernist literature. But modernist literature, township economies won't be separate tags. I'll be making separate to read pages dealing specifically with those topics.
Yeah. And this is why I don't like namespaces, because people do a similar thing for namespaces, which makes it like more difficult to like narrow down what it is you're trying to find. So anything that like is trying to make it like modular, like what is this thing that can be replicated across my database that I can find it later down the line? So to read and then the subject.
And it's kind of funny how I think the thinking behind that works. I mean, this is how I think what I'm understanding about my mistake thinking here is we make it kind of like we make it like instead of being like a to read page and then maybe having another tag that goes, okay, this is modernist literature or this is self-help or whatever. We have like to read modernist literature, one word. And the reason we do this is I think I won't be able to, my to read page will be too chaotic, it will be spaghetti. I won't be able to find the books that I'm interested in, that I just about modernist literature because I read so much, hypothetically. But not realizing you've just got to tag it again. You've just got to have a subtag. So you've got to have a modern literature thing. So when you go to a to read page, you filter out just for modern literature. You find it easily. But because what I'm doing at the moment is I'll have like 10 different to read pages, and you can't remember what you named the damn things.
Yeah.
Because it's not simple enough, right? So that's the mistake. So like same with like for me like the questions page, right? Like a questions, like 10 different projects. There's a lot of questions, but as long as I'm tagging it correctly, when I go, okay, questions, indented township economies, something like that, then the question, then it's okay. I can go to my big questions page, I can filter it out, and I can figure out.
Yeah, 100% right. That indenting is so important, and like having the granular tags, so it's like you don't have to like. I mean, I've now got a picture, and it's in the course in the second section, but it needs to be updated, with like some of my key tags, but I hardly ever look at it anymore because I know what when I was starting to like work in the system, you can see here now I've got these 5 big buckets of writing: transcendence, social, personal, applied thoughts, and organizations. And all my tags are in there. This is now the demo database, so it's not. I think it's empty still because I'm moving things across slowly. But there, like, so for organizations, I've got like, okay, cool, company culture, and then like a whole bunch of things listed underneath company culture, and then like database design, and then things there, so that I'm not like, because what I'd started to do, and I'd started building like things out very atomically, so like one note, and then I'd map it to like this thing. Was it my digital garden here? No. Yeah, it was far too granular, and I never actually returned to the information, which is the exact same problem that I had when I had it in like Google Docs or whatever. But now when I've got everything in like one page, or like mostly in one page, in these like big outlines, and I'm like able to draw things in and like work within there, it's like much easier to go and find the information. But on your questions, you don't even need to like have a separate questions page, because like what you could theoretically do is also like have a question and then add a property type question, a page property type, and this is going to be like later down the line. Actually, that's more like discourse. There's a new plugin that they're building, which is like the discourse graph plugin, which is going to rely probably on these like page properties. It's maybe getting a bit complex, but like it is like super powerful to be able to like go and like find what is a question, like, and then here, for example, I could just go, I'm just gonna go Alt-Shift-J, open the left sidebar here quickly, and just say query, and then where page property is question, or type question, and there we go. These are all the different things that are questions in my database. And then theoretically, what I could also do is then say, here is I could add like a project property, so project, and then I could say example project. And then when I want to filter it more, I could be like, oh, okay, shucks, I've got too many questions. I could then say, where and page property is type question, and page property project is example.
Yeah.
And there's only one question there.
That makes sense. Yeah, I think this is interesting. I think I have some follow-up questions and stuff. I'm just aware I've got to travel to Newlands. Kind of get going.
Shucks. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry that I couldn't answer everything.
No. I'm sorry. No, it's not just to answer everything. It's just to bring up more stuff, right? Yeah, it's more like spontaneous. That whole graph you had, like, question, and then reading, question, new question. It's kind of what's happening now, right? It's like question,
yeah,
information, answer, a new question. So we're just stuck in a kind of loop. Has to carry on for a while to reach a conclusion. I don't have time, unfortunately, today. So
no worries. I'm going to stop sharing then. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
that was fun.
that was fun. Yeah, that was fun. Yeah, cool. Yeah, it's all very meta in a way as well. It's like how one thinks about it. So yeah,
So that's it. I really enjoyed the session with Leigh, and had a lot of fun doing it. I hope that it wasn't too distracting. Unfortunately, I stopped recording a little bit too early in this conversation because Leigh then went on to say how much it's changed his workflow and helped him structure his thinking and different approaches, and realizing that this is all very much a personal journey, and like you have to do it in a way that works best for you. So that's the whole journey of Logseq and of personal knowledge management and these tools for thought. And it's really fun figuring these things out sometimes. But if you don't like figuring it out, check out the course. Maybe that's for you. Maybe it's not. Maybe these videos will just help you. So yeah. Anyways, cheers.